this is Lessons in Democracy number 16. You know, Trudeau, I saw on the news, said, yeah, Canada's a country you can take the government to court. And it's a good thing to say. I like to believe him in the sense that he would demonstrate his sincerity by creating programs to make it less hard for people to do that. And I would think if his parties are consistent with the way they are, the other parties who keep criticizing them would actually support the Liberals in this, because they probably believe that there's nothing that they could be taken to court for, when really it's all of them. So if all of them do not stick together with this, then projects to make it easier for the people to bring accountability, or in Quebec, la redevabilité, into our cultures, not at levels from before, because even levels from before are too low for the concept of democracy to really function. But if the other parties don't support the Liberals, Trudeau said this, then, you know, there's some hypocrisy going on, that maybe all the parties arrange for particular levels based on what the majority pushes for of accountability to stay low, right? Because they want to protect themselves. Now, when you take a government to court, you cannot name anybody by name. I would. And I wouldn't be worried about being countersued, because I'd go even harder on those people after. That made me win in the first case against the government and people I name. You don't name people at the bottom, you name people closer to the top that are the culture breakers for elitist benefits. And so Trudeau could do, okay, one of the first things we'll do is you can mention people when you sue a government, specific people along that claim, and you can't be countersued for anything when you win in that case. That'd be one way I'd believe Trudeau, or believe his critics, if they push for that. But again, they have to address other things, like legal aid is very non-existent, really. It's inefficient. It's lacking even in very small claims to actually make me believe that Canada is a country that follows the rule of law. So that would have to be fixed too. Another thing is there's lawyers that do supposedly pro bono. Except if you try to get that pro bono, you'll see it's very selective, and it's really false advertising. They should be sued for that. So if there's any system Trudeau would set up, and any other party that are genuine that might follow if the Liberals are genuine, it would be to also create a system where the legal aid has some people that help create the case, and then after that, once it's created and the person understands what they have to do, what they have to present, in what way, maybe a little bit of the silly jargon that really shows how outdated the system is, maybe to learn a little bit, while at the same time using the plain language of the person. After that case is prepared, it would go to a list of lawyers who aren't worried about their reputation or their partnerships in bigger firms by taking the government to court. So try that, and I'll believe that Canada is a country that follows the rule of law. And it should have already happened, right? And it needs to happen fast. For example, people shouldn't just take to court, you know, the people that fail them on environmental protection, on education, on medical and mental health related, addictions related. Like right now, I'm in a cemetery. You might have noticed. What I'm doing here is I walk the other way, and I was quiet when there's people walking their dog, right? And what I'm doing is free speech, right? It's one of my rights, and I'm doing it in a way that if some people complain, oh, my dead uncle or aunt doesn't want to hear this stuff, they disagree with you, that is ridiculous. That's somebody you need to ask for a medical evaluation. And if we were going to take people to court for cemetery or funeral related things, I would have to take my my family to court, because I've been the favorite of my grandpa, and I know, and everybody knows that he was not a religious person. So to have had a ceremony in a church after is not something he'd be very proud of. But I'm not going to do that. But, that's an example of hypocrisy. So people, I'm exercising free speech here in a cemetery, talking about democracy, role modeling it. And I hope you don't criticize me for trying to empower you. Because when I arrived here, somebody was leaving that smelled like pot. Somebody that wanted to walk in this peaceful area and do pot, which is what you identify with more. So shame on you for saying Martin is actually a culture repairer, and somebody walked out of here. It's probably a culture breaker, even in the sense that, that kind of activity is. And please take the doctors to court, or the politicians that are or were doctors that push more drugs, decriminalizing drugs, because that's short-term balanced budget kind of solution, which is not problem solving. They're not social scientists, problem solvers, people that do this. So please take them to court, all right? So this is what I had to say about that. I'm going to send this link to Pierre Poilievre to see if he will create, a movement to get all parties, hopefully as him being an independent, because he's not very efficient being a conservative, is to get this going. Get this going, because it's a right we have, but it has to be done in a way that we are not drained or give up to do it, because that's just another form of victimization. So to say we can do that, but make it so impossible that even 1% of the victims of these things wouldn't have the resources, energy, expertise, and even survive long enough to succeed, shame on you if you don't make it better. And I want to add to that, so I'll film this a second time by doing both of them together, is please sue your fire chiefs or fire chief associations or politicians related to that. And do it before your homes and loved ones, or pets you call them. I don't call them that, I call them animal friends, which is why they respond better to me. I don't see them as pets. And also, losing material possessions, family heirlooms, in a way that a judge is not going to be able to succeed in getting back for you after you sue fire chiefs. So go meet your fire chiefs. Talk to your politicians or fire chief associations or funders or whatnot. See what equipment they have, don't have. See what techniques new ones they have time to try or test or not in desperate times. See what they're doing or not to prepare or do their jobs efficiently. See what their mandates are. You can tell, why, you've never done that in our community, clean out the fire lanes or whatever. And also test certain, fire hydrants or whatever. And they know they're going to get the fire chiefs their pensions anyways, and they know in what ways, if they're questioned, that they are failing or not. So again, don't wait after. But they're not adapting to the changing times, because Canadian culture is very passive, stagnant. So yes, this is your power as a democracy, people. Take people to court, ask questions. Your country is on fire, and it'll get worse in your kid's lifetime. It's not going to get better. So why are you so slow with the firefighting culture's training and resources must double, triple? I don't know. Is it that you want a third of the country to burn down before you do something? If so, then you, the majority, should be sued by, an Homo sapien somewhere who discovers what you're doing. I'm not going to sue all of you, but you deserve it. And third and last video that I'm putting together is whoever wants to sue in court, right, is they should have had free help to make sure they have a case, to prepare this case. And after that, it should be only lawyers who, if they win, are paid. And of course, it should be a big win against the government. And it could be multiple people getting together, because these agencies that evaluate cases could get people together. Now, this first part could be evaluated and funded by governments if they are honest about who they claim to be and what Canada is really like. And after that, it would be the independent lawyers who are motivated by the profit of winning and of getting their share, And that should actually be calculated in, that it's not lost from the victims by the judges in these new laws to expect accountability.